welcome to Hanratty's Huddle. I'm Rob Adams. Happy to have you along for this edition of the show. And Terry Hanratty sitting right across the way from me. And Terry, kind of an interesting time here. You and I were talking before we started recording about, the portal. The portal's a big deal now. It's free agency for college football. When you think about our college sports, it's fascinating to watch, fascinating to study. But is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Let's spend a few minutes on the portal.
Well, the portal, we've talked about it several times in the past, but I think this is a subject we're just going to have to pound because it's so new to everybody and it's new to us. We haven't really seen the portal that closely. But, I saw some stats that were pretty staggering. There were over 50% of the quarterbacks on Division I teams last year were from the portal.
Amazing.
Over 20% of the teams were made up of portal kids. And you wonder, who's at fault here? Is it the kid trying to just jump ship there, or is it the coach who's got lazy to recruit?
Yeah, and that's just it. I can't help but think it's a little bit of both.
You have to be – if you recruit a kid, you're telling the parents, I'm going to take care of your son with academics and athletics, and I'm going to teach him as best possible. And you put faith in that coach. And now you're recruiting these kids and say, okay, I'm going to bring in someone. Every year I'm going to bring in – I don't know what's going to happen to that kid who's a sophomore and a junior. It just doesn't make any sense. Develop your own kids. Notre Dame does it as much as anybody.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about that. And it's not them. It's the whole system that's going on. But Notre Dame had Jack Cohn transfer from Wisconsin from the portal.
Yep.
And we lost 3 games. Last year we had Sam Hartman from the portal, Wake Forest.
Yep.
We lost 3 games. We lost 3 quarterbacks in the whole process. Drew Pine going to Arizona State.
Right.
And Alabama. Help me with the name.
Oh, boy.
Pause now. Someone call up and give us a name. But he went to Alabama. And
was it Tyler Buckner?
Tyler Buckner. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. We had a senior moment here.
Yes, we did.
But Tyler went to Alabama. He's not starting there. Drew's hurt, but he's not starting at Arizona State. And we lost Phil Jakovic to Boston College. Then he went to Pitt, and it sort of messed up his quarterback career because we didn't know at the time, that was under Reese and Kelly, how to get a quarterback, how to groom a quarterback, teach him the intricacies of the game. And I think that's what's really lacking. If you have enough confidence where you're going to offer this kid a scholarship, you should be able to develop him. It just boggles my mind that we got to do this.
I agree. And the portal is, a big topic right now. A lot of athletes are entering. I'm looking at the internet right now, and everybody's saying that Notre Dame will target Riley Leonard, the quarterback from Duke, and that they're going to get him out of the portal. It's a mind-boggling thing to people like you who played it, and to me who watched college football for years without the portal, and now the portal is just it's huge. It's everywhere.
And Marcus Freeman did clarify a bit this week when he said that they want 4 quarterbacks in the quarterback room. And they have 2 young guys now, and they got a 5-star coming in next year, C.J. Carr from Michigan, Lloyd Carr's grandson.
Yes.
Who was the quarterback of Michigan, so I'm
Yes.
sure Michigan's not happy about that. But this C.J. Carr has wanted to go to Notre Dame since childhood. And now he's coming to Notre Dame. And I can sort of see down the line, if he's not a phenom his freshman year, they're going to start bringing in, quarterbacks, every year now. I just don't know where it's going to stop. And if it was up to me, I would stop it now. Mm-hmm. Then you bite a bullet for a year. Maybe these quarterbacks aren't really ready to start. Who knows yet, because they haven't played a lot. But you got to go with them. And maybe you sacrifice a year, but then you get your pipeline set up where you're going to bring these quarterbacks, and they're going to know that they're going to actually play for the team they wanted to play for to begin with.
Or you get an opportunity to have a kid play late in the season, like Arch Manning got an opportunity last weekend. He showed some skill, and that's good, but, let the kid learn, and that's important.
And there's always injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the pros. I mean, what, 6 or 7 quarterbacks starters aren't playing.
Never seen anything.
So you got the second and third team quarterbacks playing.
Yeah.
And that happens in college too. All these kids, kids get hurt. I mean, it's a contact sport, so you're going to get hurt. So that backup better be ready. Keep the helmet close to the sideline because you're eventually going to get in there.
Yeah, you have to take the ball when called upon. It's your opportunity. So you got to keep your mind fresh and your body ready.
Yeah, and you wonder when the kid's learning curve slows.
Yes.
Because he's going to say, "Wait a minute. They're going to bring someone in. I don't need to do that. I don't need to watch that extra film. I don't need to stay after practice and throw the ball another 50 times because they're going to bring someone in anyway."
Yeah.
So, I think you're setting a real bad precedent for these young kids who are just coming out of high school, get indoctrinated into a college atmosphere, and all of a sudden they want to play, and all of a sudden, wow, this kid from so-and-so university just came in, and he's going to be our starting quarterback.
So somewhere down the road, can the portal be tweaked? Can we kind of change the standards of it? What can we do?
I think once you let the cat out of the bag.
That's what I'm afraid of.
That's it.
Yeah.
And because, I mean, you can't put your foot on it because you got a bunch of attorneys out there waiting to get some lawsuits against schools that will not accept the portal or something to that effect. And I just think people got to slow down, and it's up to the universities to say, I'm recruiting these kids. They're 4 stars, 5 stars coming out of high school. It's up to me to develop them as a person and as a football player. And I don't care what that portal says is on the portal. I'm not going to go there. And the alumni sort of got to bite the bullet for a while and maybe have couple subpar years, but then you can see your transformation into your recruiting.
Yeah, and fans are not known for being patient, especially at certain schools. And I get that. I do get that. Side question: Did you watch? I'm sure you did. Michigan, Ohio State. I'm sure you took that in.
I watched the game a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good. It was a good game. Michigan. Excuse me. The only thing that gets me about Michigan is that these guys, us against the world.
Yes.
Come on, you were caught
cheating.
You're caught cheating. I was trying to be nice about it. You're right. Right to it. But don't put this thing that we are doing something wrong to you. You did something wrong, and they said, well, the kids shouldn't be punished because the coach did it. Well, the kids may have benefited, even though the coach went out there and filmed it. But they were given the film to study, and they go, oh, that's what they're doing. So they did benefit by this. It's just, it's all the way up and down the chain. Everybody's a little guilty.
I mean, whether you're banging on trash cans or you're flashing signs through some kind of technology, it was cheating, or deflating footballs. You're cheating.
Yeah,
bottom line.
Exactly. Yeah, I've been through that. Oakland deflated footballs on us, and
no kidding.
It was interesting because I was starting in the game. We're in Oakland, and I'll never forget it because our lead man went out, and he called back and said, "Oh man, it's raining like crazy. Every day we hear it's rain. So we're starting to practice in the rain in Pittsburgh, and to get ready for the game. So we go out there and we land, and it's clear skies. So we're going to go to the stadium, have your light workout, then then go get ready for bed. So we go to the stadium in Al Davis. The sprinklers were on because we had all the speed. They had Mike Ciani and Fred Biletnikoff, great receivers, but no speed that's going to hurt you.
Right.
It's all possession receivers.
Yeah.
And we had all the speed on the outside. So there it was. Then we go up to the game, and Chuck Knowles up there trying to diagram the first 3 plays, and the pregame music is pumped into our locker room. And you could barely hear yourself think. And they had just resodded the field the day before, and hunks of sod were coming up just to slow it all down. Then I'll never forget, the ball was snapped to me, and I could almost put my thumb through it. It was so deflated. I go, what are they going to do? And we won anyway. So that was the key.
This sounds like stuff Shula did back in Miami in the day.
But that's back when people didn't care.
Yeah, that is true.
Now you'd be all over everything, and the legal staff here and the legal staff there. Get them on your own. Then they came to Pittsburgh, and it was below zero.
Yeah.
And we have our grounds crew put the water down on their side of the field. We got a little slick over there.
There we go. I mean,
so payback's a bitch.
Well, there is that, but there are also cameras everywhere now. That's how this stuff gets caught.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. So yeah, you think the transfer portal is what it is. It's not going to change.
No, I don't see it changing anytime soon.
Yeah.
Because you got alumni. Every school has a transfer portal fund.
Yes.
Where they're going to buy these kids and bring them in, and it's going to get to the point where the money is going to start dictating who they bring in.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to say, I'm not going to pay that kind of money for that kid. I'm not going to this. It just I see it just being a terrible mess, and I think the biggest mess is it's a legal mess because it's going to be. Do you think these kids are going to get X amount of dollars? They're going to put it in their IRA. They're going to give it to Fidelity to manage for them or Charlie Schwab to manage for them. No, I mean they're going to. I would have.
Of course.
Give me the money. I spend it, not knowing that 50% of that goes to Uncle Sam.
Right.
So if you make $1 million and you spend $1 million, you owe Uncle Sam $500,000.
Yeah.
So there's going to. I think the legal stuff down the road is going to be just mind-boggling because these kids are getting a little bit of advice. But what they really listen to.
Yeah, who's advising them? And like you said, they're obviously not listening, but who's advising them? That's what it comes down to. It's a good question,
You want to talk about your Jets?
No, I'm not the Jet fan. That's Dave. We leave the Jets to Dave.
I know Dave's going to listen, so I can actually say we had the Hail Mary.
Yeah, the Hail Mary.
Now, I've watched thousands of hours of football.
Yes.
And I've played in many, many games. And I've thrown many, many Hail Marys. But you've seen them intercepted in the end zone. You've seen them caught on the 2-yard line.
Sure.
You've seen them knocked down. But you've never seen them run back 100 yards. I mean, I was watching it, I'm going, I don't believe I'm seeing this.
Me too.
Because this is just unheard of. Do we tackle them or do we just let them go? And it was just mind-boggling. That's the kind of season that the Jets are having, where your Hail Marys are getting run back the other way.
A franchise that has the butt fumble and all these other things, and now they've got the Hail Mary on top of it. The Jets are snake-bitten. I can't figure out any other way. And how is Rodgers coming back, by the way?
Well, supposedly the medical staff, there's some new development for the Achilles tendon tear that he had. And believe me, I have zero medical background.
Yeah, same here.
Even below zero.
Same here.
But somehow they're attaching this to that, and it attaches a lot faster than it did before. Because before my day, that was a career-ending injury. You got Achilles, goodbye. Have a good life.
Yep.
But now, as our medicine goes through the life here, there's things they can do like this. So he comes back. I mean, do they really need him back? I mean, does the club actually need him? Do they think they're going to go anywhere? It's sad because when you see the defense of the Jets, they are really good.
Yes, they are.
I mean, if they had any kind of offense, this team is a deep playoff team.
But that's the exact shame of the Jets is they are so messed up that even Breece Hall can't get any running going. And you'd like to think you could balance things out with, a mediocre quarterback at best with a Breece Hall who can run the ball. Can't even do that.
Well, it goes to what we did last week. We talked about the offensive line.
Offensive line, sure.
And it just, as much as people talk about it, people don't do anything about it.
Right.
I mean, you got to go to the draft. And I've said it before, if you have a franchise quarterback, you grab him.
Mm-hmm.
But then you make sure that you got 2, 3, 4, 5 round picks assigned to that defensive line and offensive line.
Right.
Because you need people to protect and people to rush.
Exactly.
And then you can really get away with, if you have both sides of the ball like that, you can get away with secondary running backs, secondary linebackers, because these guys are so tough up front.
You and I sitting in the Metro New York area as we record. Tommy DeVito, a little bit of at least a point of conversation with the Giants right now. What have you watched him? What do you make of him?
I've seen him. I think he's a pretty good stopgap. I don't think he's ever going to be a great. NFL quarterback, but I think he's a tough kid. It looks like. I saw him with Syracuse. He played against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And I thought he was, he's a really good competitive kid. He's from Jersey, tough kid.
Yeah, tough kid.
And then he played the year at Illinois, and he played well there, and so he deserves a good shot. But it's again, you got to have more than one round through the league. So these guys get some game film on you and really say, okay, this is how we stop this guy or that guy, whatever. So it takes a while to figure out whether someone's going to be there or not.
That's a good point. And team you're close to, the Steelers, all of a sudden, boy, they find some offense on Sunday in Cincinnati. How?
And it boggles my mind because they didn't put in many points.
No, they didn't.
They
that was a problem.
400 yards in total offense.
Yep.
And they haven't had that in a long time. But I think it's they didn't have Burrow, so you didn't have to worry about that quarterback that's going to control the game.
Yes.
And but I think the new offensive coordinator. I think the team got an emotional lift. Now we'll see if they can carry it through from here. I mean, that's a big thing. You got this guy did well, the coordinator. Now let's see if he can control the games from now on.
And you're taking on an Arizona Cardinals team next that is not very good at all. It's a game that the Steelers, in theory, have to win.
They have to win, and those are the games they don't.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
The team that, if it's a really good competitive team and they have to win, they usually win.
Yeah.
But if it's a team that's subpar and they have to win, that's when they usually struggle a lot. And it's who knows what brings that up. It's
just another interesting NFL year. There's no question.
No, I mean, the quarterback thing, is really mind-boggling.
Yeah.
How many guys are down this year and, serious injuries. So it's again, I really think the NFL really has to expand the roster where they can carry, another quarterback and a couple extra linemen. And, they haven't expanded the roster in years.
Yeah.
And as much money as they are spending, you would think a couple more doesn't hurt.
It's the injuries and it's the types of injuries that we're seeing. I feel like I'm seeing too many injury breaks a game and too many carts rolling out onto a field, and that's scary.
And they're trying to blame it on the artificial surface. I can remember back in the day before the artificial surface was even here, how they blamed all the injuries on the terrible fields that were mud and were just bad turf and whatnot. Then when they put in the artificial turf at the Houston Astrodome was the first one.
Yep.
And that was like this desk here with about an inch of padding to it.
Yeah.
And, that was – you didn't have you had a lot of separations, a lot of broken bones because you're falling on that real hard stuff.
Yeah.
And you had rug burns, and they were all getting infected because of the oil and everything that was in the substance that put the carpet down. So there was a lot. Then all of a sudden, the stuff now is coming out where, much more player-friendly grass. It actually looks like grass. You just don't have to cut it.
Yep.
And I really think you go back, and I've said it before, that there's no contact. And they go through a preseason. I think Rodgers played one quarter or maybe a couple series, and that was it.
Yeah, that was it. He didn't play much.
And so you never really putting pressure on your body in practice.
Right.
I go to some of these, I remember I took Connor years ago to the Steeler practice in Latrobe, PA.
Yep.
He wanted to leave. He was 10 years old, 12 years old. I said, what's wrong? He said, Dad, there's no action here. Nobody hit.
Yeah.
And everybody was sort of walking through their motions. And I don't know if anybody even broke a sweat. Well, after practice, there was about 3 guys running wind sprints on their own. So, there's zero contact.
It's amazing.
And I think the body needs some of that contact to build up to be able to take it when it's really forceful and continuous into a game, because you're getting hit every play. In practice, you don't get hit at all, so that is going to wear on your body and it's going to wear your body down.
Did you have a favorite turf that you played on? It
was natural grass.
Oh, okay.
Natural grass. We had a beautiful field at Notre Dame.
Yes.
And we had Green Bay has a old Lambeau Field was a spectacular field to play on because it was perfect grass. And they had a crown. If you remember back in the day, if you sat on the bench of one team and you sat on the bench of the other, you couldn't see yourself because there's a crown on the field. And the interesting part is the quarterback had to adjust his pass when you're running an out pattern because the receiver's running downhill, and if you throw it uphill, it's going to be over his head. So you have to adjust, almost throw the ball down.
Incredible.
That's what the crown was, but that was for drainage on the field.
Right.
But then, at Notre Dame, there were 6 home games in the spring game. Then that field was shut down. Green Bay, the same thing. You had all the season shut down.
Going on.
I went to the Steelers. We played at Pitt Stadium, where Pitt played there, we played there, high school played there.
Yep.
And by about the first part of November, that field was just a quagmire. And, it's not in football. You're just sliding everywhere.
Yeah.
So the artificial turf came out, and they're continuing to get better at it. And, I think you can't just totally go back to grass.
Yeah.
You just have to sort of ease into it and, do all the studies there. I mean, it's crazy because as soon as one guy gets hurt, they start campaigning, get back to natural grass. Well, that could be the reason, but let's give it more theory here.
Yeah, well, we tend to react to everything. That's what we do in sports.
Yeah, exactly.
For good or for better or for worse, that's what we do in sports.
Yeah.
It's not always the best approach. Anything else you want to hit before we say farewell?
I think we're good for today.
I think
getting ready for Christmas. We all had a great Thanksgiving.
Yes, we did.
And we saw they had a lot of turkey and that stuff and a lot of football. And now this weekend we got these conference championships. I mean, it's going to be a lot of good football coming up.
A lot of good football. So we will talk more about that and everything else when we see you next time, Terry. Good to see you.
Thank you.
For Terry Hanratty, I'm Rob Adams. You've been listening to Hanratty's Huddle, and we will see you next time.